Smart Aggie parents know that it's better to buy than rent while their son or daughter attends A&M. So if your child is graduating from high school this year and coming to College Station, or maybe they're currently an Aggie and you're thinking, hey, rather than pay rent next year, I'd rather buy a property, but I don't know how, I got you covered with my step-by-step guide to buying student rental properties here in Aggie land. Stay tuned, this is gonna be a good one. Of course, all of that and more on your favorite channel, Investing in Bryan and College Station, where we cover everything about growing your wealth through real estate in my favorite towns of Bryan and College Station, Texas. Hey guys, in case you don't know who I am, my name is Greg Schwartz. I'm an investor here in Bryan and College Station. In fact, I'm also a real estate agent, so I help investors buy properties here in town. And today I want to talk to you about buying student rentals so that you can grow your wealth while your son or daughter grows their education. Your first step is going to decide whether or not you want to buy or rent. And there's advantages and disadvantages to both, and I want you to take your time on this step. What I really want to highlight is the financial differences between the two. I have a whole video on this, so feel free to check that out. But the major points that we want to discuss are the fact that if you pay rent, you're going to spend $700 or more every single month for 48 months, assuming your son or daughter is getting a 4-year degree. And that comes out to $33,600 over 4 years. That's purely an expense, it's up and gone. Now, if you decide to buy, you're probably buying something around our median price of $300,000. And you're enjoying a very strong appreciating market. What does that mean? Well, it means that your property will increase in value by 5%, roughly, 4.96 to be exact, but easy math, 5% per year for 4 years on average. That's $15,000 times 4 years. So that's $60,000 of appreciation over 4 years rather than throwing money away. Once you determine that it's better to buy than rent, you move on to step number 2, and that is to secure your financing and determine your budget. When it comes to financing, there's a lot of ways that you can buy a house. Of course, you can buy it in cash, or you can buy it with an investment loan. That's 20% down. You could even buy it in your son or daughter's name and co-sign, so you have access to things like an FHA loan, low down owner occupied loans, or you could buy it with a secondary home loan, like a beach house. And you'd put down 10%, and that's as long as you're willing to occupy the property, aka visit your son or daughter. The point is there's a lot of loan options out there, and you want to talk to your bank to see what options are available to you, because this will have a great impact on your monthly expense. Of course, your principal and interest payments are part of that monthly expense, but so are things like property taxes, insurance, and HOA fees. So you want to have a good idea of what all those expenses are so you know what you're paying every single month to own this property while your son or daughter attends school. Step 3 is a no-brainer. You need to find a great agent, and you're watching this channel, so you already did. Hi, my name is Greg Schwartz. I'm a real estate agent with Schwartz Realty Group and Keller Williams here in Bryan-College Station, and I'd love to help you buy a house here in Aggie land. All my contact information is in the description below. Now that that's out of the way, let's move on to step number 4, and that is, what are you gonna buy? You see, there's a lot of housing options in Bryan and College Station, and in general, what I recommend is looking for something that has a 1-to-1 bed-to-bath ratio, because that will maximize the income you get per bedroom. And then, of course, the more bedrooms, the merrier. In general, here in Bryan and College Station, we're restricted to no more than 4 unrelated people in a house. What does this mean to you? It means that generally you're gonna be looking at 4-bedroom houses or less. So let's shoot for a 4-4. Now you can determine whether or not you want to have a single family house or a condo or a townhouse. On the single family house side of things, you're paying a little bit more. Of course, you don't generally have the high HOA fees or the extra amenities. Whereas with a condo, you're paying more in HOA fees, but you're not worried about things like exterior maintenance, roofs, the lawn care. The condos right now start around actually as low as $200,000 for an apartment style condo, up to around $300,000 for a townhouse style condo. And then for the higher end stuff, expect to pay as high as $400,000 to $450,000. But this is for our new built townhouse style, 4-bedroom, 4 baths with a garage. Like I said, there's a lot to choose from. Luckily, that agent that you chose in step 3 is here to help you out. Step 5 is to start your search. The good news is I've got a video up here that you can check out that will break down specific neighborhoods I like, amenities I like, and all the fun stuff that comes into searching for a specific property. I do want to highlight some things right now that I think should be on your radar as you do your search. For one, there are areas within Bryan and College Station that limit you to no more than 2 unrelated people in a house. Of course, as someone looking to fill a 4-bedroom house, this could affect your income. In College Station, that area is called a ROO, Restricted Occupancy Overlay, and in Bryan, it's called a Residential Conservation District. Other things you want to be aware of are parking. In some condos, in some townhouses, the parking is pretty limited, and in some cases, you're even going to be double parked, specifically in areas like the barracks. Next, I want you to be focused on the leases that may or may not be in place. You see, when you buy a house, you inherit the lease. That means you inherit the tenants and you inherit the income. That can be a good thing if you're buying in the fall. This way you have income coming in until, let's say, July, when your son or daughter is ready to move in, but it could be detrimental if you're buying now, April 2025, you could be looking at a student rental property that's pre-leased through 2026. That's right, there's a chance that you look at a property that your son or daughter can't even move into for over a year. Of course, if the plan is to have them move in the summer, that could be detrimental to your plan, and we want to be aware of that. Those are some gotchas as you're doing your search. Again, check out the other videos I have on this specific topic. This is going to roll us into step number 6, and that's to start touring some properties. This can be a daunting task. You see, I'm going to guess that you are a busy person. I'm going to guess that your son or daughter is attending A&M, but you don't live in College Station. You probably live in Dallas or Houston or Austin or New Orleans or OKC or, God forbid, California. So how do you tour properties? Well, this is my recommendation. Spend a weekend here in Aggie Land. Maybe you're here for a game day or student orientation. That's a great time to also go look at between 5 and 10 properties. The idea here is to see a variety of properties so that at the end of this weekend, you and your agent are on the same page in terms of exactly what you're looking for. Now you go home and subsequent showings can be done virtually via FaceTime, Google Meets, or Zoom. You could even have your son or daughter attend the showing with the agent to give an extra perspective. Now, I know you're thinking, Greg, if I see the property virtually, I'm not going to be easy until I see it in person, but don't worry. Here in Texas, we have what's called an option period. So that's when you get your inspections done. And that is a great opportunity to come back to town and see the property in person. You still have the ability to walk away. That kind of rolls me into step number 7, and that is making your offer. And there are a lot of terms and conditions that go into an offer. Of course, price being the biggest one. We already talked about financing. So I want to highlight 2 things that will make your offer stronger. First off, being pre-approved. That's a no-brainer. It tells the seller that you're both serious because you went through the process of getting pre-approved and that you're financially capable of buying the house. The second thing that I want you to do is I want you to make an offer quickly. Now, I don't want you to feel rushed. But if you find a property that's a good fit, if you've seen 10 properties in person, you've had 3 or 4 virtual tours, you should be at a point where you're comfortable making that offer. I want you to make that offer within about 24 to 48 hours of seeing the property. This conveys to the seller that you are, again, a serious buyer and you really like that property. It will make them feel better that you're actually going to close on the property that you're making the offer on. And that's how you make a strong offer in a competitive market, specifically one like College Station, where we have a lot of parents looking to buy these student houses. Presumably negotiations go well and you're ready for step number 8, and that is to go under contract on the house and do your due diligence. That means that you're going to sign the contract and now go into your option period, which is usually 7 to 10 days, and that gives you the unrestricted right to walk away from the property for any reason whatsoever. This is also the ideal time to have your inspections done. So I recommend, if you only saw the house virtually, to come back to town and walk the property, this time with an inspector. The inspector, of course, is going to point out all kinds of flaws with the house because every house has flaws. What you're really going to be looking for is major issues with the major systems: foundation, roofs, HVAC, electrical, plumbing. If there's any major issues that you didn't already know about, you can then go back to the seller and renegotiate some of the terms of that contract that you guys originally signed. In a perfect world, you will tour the property. It's exactly what you expected. Your inspector will tell you it's in great condition, and you will move on to step number 9, which is closing on the property and finding roommates. Closing on the property is pretty easy. No matter where you're at we can send a mobile notary to you. That's right. You don't have to come to Bryan-College Station to close on the house. The title company can send a mobile notary to you to a cafe in California or a bistro in Boston. Once you close on the property though, you also want to start filling the rooms. In a perfect world, again, your son or daughter has 3 or 4 friends that are all ready to move in. All you gotta do is put them on a contract. Yes, I recommend they sign a lease so that you know exactly how much money you're getting every month, and there are terms and conditions of that agreement. If you don't have all the rooms filled yet, then your son should hop on, or daughter, should hop on Facebook to one of the many Facebook groups specific to finding roommates. It's a simple post. Your son says, "Hi, my name is Tim. I'm an engineer at A&M. I enjoy fishing on the weekends, and I'm looking for a roommate who likes to work out during the week." Awesome. People will say, "Hey, I'm interested." And then what I recommend is that you have your real estate agent screen those folks. Because of course they're complete strangers to you. So we want to get a good idea of whether they have credit or income. And if they don't, we want to make sure they have a guarantor. So then we'll screen that guarantor for credit and income. The point being is we want to get some great roommates for your son or daughter so that you can get that consistent income. So you close on the property, we've secured some income. We got to move on to step number 10, guys. And that is to sit back and get rich. Well, you're still paying tuition, so you're probably not getting rich. Ideally, this house will help offset the cost of that tuition. You're gonna be building equity through principal paydown and appreciation every single year. So after 4 years, if you break even on the property, at least you didn't pay $34,000 in rent. Go back to step number 1. Yep, that's right. $34,000 in rent over 4 years. Or maybe instead of selling in 4 years, you keep it as a rental property. And maybe you enjoy the growth in your net worth so much that you buy more. You buy 2 properties and 4 properties and 10 properties. Well, if that's what you're looking to do, if you really like the idea of investing in Bryan-College Station, that's what we do here at Schwartz Realty Group. We help investors like you grow their wealth. Of course, as I mentioned, all my contact information is in the description below. Feel free to schedule a call with me via the Calendly link. Guys, that's all that we have for the main topic, which brings us to the bonus content. As always, our bonus content is a client-based question, and this is one I got relatively recently. I was helping a parent look at a townhouse, and the concern was filling the extra bedrooms. You see, this client's daughter had at least one friend that we were pretty sure could move into one of the rooms, but what about the 2 vacant rooms? What do we do? Won't it be hard to find roommates? And the truth is that most of my clients are able to fill those vacancies within about a month. So if we buy a property and we close on it sometime in April, May, or June, we still have at least a month until that move-in time frame in July. And guys, the good news is they're not that hard to find and they're easy to screen. So not only are you finding great folks off Facebook, but you're also comfortable with who's moving in because your real estate agent has done the same due diligence, screening those tenants like we do on all of our tenants in Bryan-College Station. The point is, I want to put your mind at ease that it's not nearly as hard as you think it is to find roommates to live with your son or daughter. Of course, you could always make the decision to buy a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom so you're filling less rooms, but the trade-off is you're making less money. I hope this helps you guys. I hope that you like and subscribe to this channel. I hope that I bring value to you every single week when I drop a new video. And I hope that until next week, you take it easy.